Good morning. Happy Monday. It is 5 a.m. here in beautiful Arizona. We are gonna get started here. We got a fresh palette to work on. Usually I have stuff sitting over, but I rebooted my computer. I know it's crazy. Who reboots their computer? It's madness. Let's get some Unity open here. I am Captain Coder. We are prototyping an RPG. We're gonna see how far we can get today. We've been prototyping. This is day 8, so we've been working on it for about a week. It's called Dice Roller. Core, happy Monday, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Corefless is a friend of mine here in the world of streaming. Always, he's been here since I was doing admin of code back in December. So. Thank you, Core, for being here. Thank you for hanging out. It's good stuff. Core's got a lot of stuff going on as well. It's a coder. It's a gamer. Go check out Core's stuff. Core's got a channel. If you like watching games, if you like watching code, Core is a good person to check out for that stuff. Streams earlier than me, and then also maybe way earlier than me as well, but I've seen Core at my time, like late at night, and I say late at night, and late at night is like 6-7 o'clock for me, and then early in the morning for me as well. But Core, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your party over. How'd your stream go? How'd you end up? Unity's opening. I just reinstalled Unity. I was creating some tutorials for Unity, so I'm a little concerned. But yeah, I had to uninstall and reinstall Unity to get my tutorials, get screenshots and stuff for the initial setup for Unity. So we're gonna see. It might not be set up to work with VS Code just yet. Good. Core is working on some first-person camera stuff. Nice. You made, I think, on the Discord channel, you put together let's see, where is it? Yeah, you were the one that did the first-person shooter trainer in Godot. So that wasn't in Unity. Cool. Okay, so Core streams gaming on the weekends. I caught Core streaming Factorio, which is such a cool game. If you haven't played Factorio, you should check out Factorio, everybody. Factorio's good stuff. Yeah, what are we doing today? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep going on this RPG that I have here, but it's been so much fun, and I'm not sure what I would do otherwise. I'm sure once my first Unity class is today. So the first class I'm teaching a Unity class, I think, for the next it goes until March 24th. So I think it's like 12 weeks, 11 or 12 weeks. It's twice a week. Yeah, so Monday, Wednesdays is when I teach my Unity class. So this was part of the prototype, figure out how could I do something like this. We're gonna do a character generator in that one. I'm not sure if we're gonna build a whole RPG. That's why I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep working on it. But I'm not sure what else to work on yet. And I'm having so much fun. I'm having so much fun with it. Okay, good. Still connected to VS Code. Coffee's good. I just ordered new coffee, more coffee. I'm getting getting some good stuff here. All right, so I think Core had recommended it. It was the Death Wish coffee, I think, or Death Wishes coffee. Ordered some of that, so I'm excited to test that out. There's Robert Tim's coffee as well. I didn't order that, but I want to get some Robert Tim's coffee as well. But let's dive in here. Figure out what we're doing. We do have we transition nicely from our character creator. We've got serialization working. That's what we've been trying to get working for quite some time. Since like day 5, that was on like a bonus, I think, to serialize and be able to transition with our equipment and stuff between scenes. So we go from our character creator to our little town hub to our shop and back. And our character gets serialized as well as our equipment and inventory, which is really cool. A little bit more robust than we probably need to have it, but it worked out really well, really well. I need to step away just for a second. Give me a moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I first coffee of the day is getting my nose to be a little more nose action than I thought I would have. So I need to take care of that. No one wants to watch that. But yeah, welcome aboard and happy Monday, everybody. We're getting back into it. So what I think. So there's a couple things I could work on. I have some stuff in my to-do list. Maybe I should knock some things off my to-do list. Here, shop needs to be serialized. Well, I actually don't know if that's true. I think more than anything, we need a way for our shop, for us to specify which shop we're going to. All right. A scene transition manager would be good. A Unity editor drawer for our character would be pretty cool too. This would be a nice thing for me to learn as well, because I've done it a little bit, but I haven't spent a ton of time doing it. I've in the past I've done some of my own custom drawers before, but I'm not 100% sure how to do it. So that could be cool. And deserializing and reserializing interfaces. This would be a cool thing, I think, to implement as well. This would be a nice little utility to have to make it easier to serialize and deserialize interfaces, because good programming practice, this is one of the things that bothers me about Unity in general, is it's not just Unity, it's other programs too, but in Unity I feel like you're encouraged, oftentimes encouraged to have relatively bad programming practices, and this is an example of one of those. If you make things interfaces, suddenly you can't and there's reasonable reasons why this is the case. Suddenly you can't access them in your inspector. You can't serialize them using Unity's serialization. As far as I can tell, there's no way to do it without building a custom drawer. Oh, I got something in my eye. Got it though. Got it. All right. So those are maybe we'll take on one of these. We're going to take on one of these, I think. This would be good too. This would be an easy thing to knock out, but we're going to go less time today. We're no longer on break. I just came off, or I'm coming off. My first thing off of break is today. So technically my new contract with my school begins today. That's good. Getting paid again. Which will be nice. My new contract starts today. I've been on break for 3 weeks. With the school was on three-week break. I was doing some tutoring stuff during that time, but essentially had a lot more time to just. Essentially, I was planning my class out, so I think I have about half the class planned. 6 weeks, a little bit more than I need to do write-ups for. All right, let's see here. So let's do a sign-on. Let's see if we can get a sign-on going on what I want to do. I think I'm going to take on this Unity drawer. I want to look into doing this. I think it'd be cool to add in a drawer here so I can see my character at the very least as a read-only value here. So right now we're serializing a player character. It would be nice, I think, to be able to say, okay, I have an eye character and I want to see that. So we're gonna give it a shot. So that's what I'm gonna do. So today's more of an exploration day. I'm not adding any new real features to the game. Instead, I'm exploring and learning some Unity stuff. So let's get this. If you're not on the Discord yet, feel free to join the Discord. This is where, and I'm encouraging people to do sign-ons on my Discord. Keep yourself accountable. Before you start working on something, do a sign-on. Sort of focus yourself in for that working session. Put down what you're planning to do, and then at the end you can evaluate, hey, this is good for time estimations. It's good for time estimation. It's good to also keep you focused, try and do one thing at a time without getting too distracted. And this is something that everyone needs to improve, including myself. Story Girl plans, outrageous. This is actually one of the things that really helped me organize myself when I went through a little bit of a mental health crisis in my mid-late 20s. I'm not sure. Anyway, I had a little bit of a crisis where I shut down. I couldn't get anything done. And this, learning how to do this saved me. Learning how to say, all right, I need to sit down and focus. What are the things? What are the absolute goals I need for today? And then how to reflect on those things. So being able to have this skill is super helpful for me. It may not be helpful for everybody, but super helpful for me. Not just with programming, with everyday stuff. All right, goal setting absurdity. ADHDs. The ADHDs. I like it. I hear that the adult version of that can be quite devastating. Create a Unity editor drawer. All right, so we're not going to actually to finish this, but today's sign on. Today is an exploration day to learn about customizing the Unity editor. Goals. Learn how one might add a Unity editor drawer for an interface. In this case, the iCharacter interface. So we're going to look into that. Bonus goal, actually implement a drawer for iCharacter. All right, so that's sort of our goal. Today's a learning day. We got to, we're giving ourselves a little bit of less pressure than we might normally have here, where we are just gonna be learning. We're gonna try and learn something today, not so much focus on implementing and getting something done. So the success rate of this should be pretty achievable. We've set some pretty lofty goals the last couple sessions. I don't know if we got all of them, but man, I've streamed way more than I intended to. Considering it was a major contributor going from a 6-figure income to living on benefits, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Core. Story Girl, by the way, how's your game coming? How long is the game jam that you're doing? Boom. Okay, so we're gonna look at this, and so we need to look up a little bit of a tutorial again. How to add drawers. Let's get a new browser open over here. Unity custom editor. So I know I need like an editors folder or something along those lines. That's like the good practice to do it. Not gonna make the deadline. Deadlines are rough on Game Jam sometimes too. That's how I always, it's one of the reasons I haven't done a Game Jam maybe in like 9 months, something like that. I did one over the summer. I was doing them a lot more regularly, but so can be super brutal. But yeah, Game Jams can be so inspirational just from a learning perspective. So I'm gonna be running, let me see if I can find it here. I think I might revise it a little bit, but Captain Coders Learn You a Pixels Jam. I might just change it to Learn You a Game Jam, instead of doing specifically pixels. I was making it like a pixel. I love iPixel art, so I was thinking I'd run this summer. So in June, I'll be promoting a little bit more later. But the whole idea of the game jam is to learn something new, and then create a devlog, blog, or vlog on it. So then explain, oh, what did you learn? So what did you learn? What was your goals there? And then I have a couple prizes. I might remove the prizes, because it's hard to send them out of the United States, or I need to figure out how to send them out of the United States. I might just remove the prizes altogether. But the big prize is essentially, I want people to do devlogs. So I want to encourage people to do a devlog, or maybe I'll make it so that if anyone who submits a devlog is part of a raffle to get it. So rather than having to go through, but if you submit a devlog, you're part of a raffle. I think that would make it so I could do it outside of the United States. So I think I need to go through and adjust that, but I'm not going to promote this just yet because I'm not 100% sure all the rules and stuff. But I'm going to be doing one. I might change it from Pixel Jam to a just Learn You a Game Jam. Because I don't want to I want to be inclusive and encourage as many people as possible to do it, and then share what you learned. I want everyone to share what they learned with each other, because that's my whole goal. So the challenge story, girl, is it's related to like maybe the prizes. I have to keep the prize pool really small if I go outside of the United States for tax purposes. That's the problem. So I spoke with like my lawyer, my not really my lawyer, my financial advisor / lawyer person. They're like, oh, you got to be careful about that for tax purposes, if you give away too much. So I have to keep the prize pool really small if I go to the US, which is probably what I should do. Not that, because the prize pool's not giant anyway. Maybe what I could do is send out a bunch of $50 raffle prizes or something for anyone who submits one. Anyway, I'm thinking about it. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing. But we're going to do some custom editors today. And so one of the big things to remember with the editors is you only want them to be part of your editor assembly. So when you build your game and export it, you don't want to have anything included there. So you can do some, again, I'm relearning some of this stuff. Execute in edit mode. All right, so we're gonna read some documentation, see if we can relearn how this stuff works. To speed up application development, create extending the editor. This is what I want to read about. Unity lets you extend the editor with your custom inspector and editor windows, and you can define how properties are displayed in the inspector with custom property drawers. Core, no problem. Thanks for popping in, my friend. Thank you again for the raid. And have a beautiful day, my friend. I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful day. And you know this. You're welcome back anytime. All right, so we're gonna look at custom property drawers. Okay, so property editor windows, property drawers. Property drawers can be used to customize the look of certain controls. Chicka wow, no worries, my friend. And so thank you for popping in and saying hello. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, my friend, thank you. Thanks for popping in. I hope you're off to something enjoyable, and I hope you have a beautiful day. But thank you for coming by. We're exploring Unity editor stuff today, so I'm not sure how educational I would be otherwise, or how entertaining, because I'm learning something brand new. I'm normally always learning, but learning something almost brand new to me. Property drawers can be used to customize the look of certain controls in the inspector window by using attributes on your scripts, or by controlling how a specific serializable class should look. Property drawers have two uses: customize the GUI of every instance of a serializable class, customize the GUI of script members with custom property attributes. I think this is what I want. I want to add in a custom property attribute to something. Specifically, I want to be able to put it on my interfaces and have it do something special with it. If you have a custom serializable class, you can use a property drawer to control how it looks. So I do kind of have this, but I'm more interested. Thank you so much for those. Yeah. Let me just give you a shout out here. Thank you for those. I think they look great. I want to add them in. Where did they go? Where did they go? Under MISC. Okay, here they are. So Chicka Wow Wow graciously invested their time for me making this sweet little door icon that I'm going to add into our shop. So we were working on adding a return to town button. I'm going to add this in up here, and on hover it's going to switch to open, then you can click it. But yeah, thank you so much for those. I really appreciate it. I'm highly looking forward to adding them in. And maybe we'll get to that today. It shouldn't be too crazy. I don't want to get too distracted on what I'm doing. But yeah, thank you again so much for that. I appreciate it so much. And anyone who wants to use these, Chicka Wow Wow has essentially contributed them to the public domain. Is that right? So we should all appreciate that. Thank you so much, Chicka Wow Wow. All right, so what are we working on? We are trying to learn how to do a property drawer. So I've done it with these serializable things before, but we're going to try and do it in an intelligent way. Specifically, I want to use a property attribute. The other use of property drawer is to alter the appearance of members in a script that use custom property attributes. Say you want to limit floats or integers to a certain range, we can do this. Can make your own property attribute. Okay. All right. Oh, absolutely perfect for, it's exactly right. Perfect for a prototype. They're perfect for a prototype, right? And that's mostly what I do. Maybe someday I'll release something officially completed as far as like a game or a product, but I'm too nervous to ever actually put a stamp of I'm done on something. Everything I've ever made is a prototype, for the most part, because it's too scary to say like, okay, this thing is finished. I have what would that be, like commitment anxiety. I don't want to commit to something being done because nothing is ever done for me. It's a curse. It's a curse. The curse of never finishing. So let's see if we can get this custom property drawer in here. My range. Now that Story Go, let me know what you need to have polished. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always so yeah. I appreciate the offer. Right now I'm not sure exactly what I'd have you polish up, but I do appreciate that offer. Thank you so much. So we're gonna try and add in a property drawer here. Let's keep reading the before I jump in. Sometimes I get too excited and I don't finish reading the documentation. So it looks like we have this class here. So it's just like any property attribute must be an attribute here. So we have this sort of thing here that we can tag on something. In this case, the constructor here, notice we've created a class, what's called range. Why is it called my range and not range? And then they've created something called a drawer. That's absolutely true. Watching other people enjoy them, or get horribly frustrated in them. That's how I feel about some of the ones I've submitted to game jams. It's so fun though. I love playing other people's. I think I used to be much more of a gamer. I don't know exactly what happened, and from time to time I get sucked into games. But one of the reasons I love doing game jams is more than anything seeing what other people make and getting a chance to play these like little short snippets of games, and it makes me feel like I'm reliving my childhood in some cases. So when I do a game jam, I think my favorite part of game jams is seeing what everyone else made, I don't know if that's everyone else's favorite part, but that's definitely my favorite part. The making of the game tends to be a stressful endeavor. Now that you have the attribute, you need to make a property drawer that draws properties that have the attribute. Okay, so you create your attribute first. Then you create a property drawer, custom property drawer of this type, like this. And I'm pretty sure you need to put these things, there's like a special editors folder you're supposed to put things in Unity so that it doesn't compile. All right, so Unity editor scripts folder. I'm like 90% sure there's something I can remember. But Story Girl, you're an artist. I would love to team up with you potentially at some time in a game jam, because I am not an artist. I am not an artist. Chicka wow wow, have a wonderful day. Take it easy, my friend. Take it easy. We'll see you next time. Okay, so there's special folder names. You can usually choose any name you like for the folders you create to organize your Unity project. However, there are folder names that Unity reserves for special purposes. I wish it's documented here, but I wish in the I wish they would mark those folders special here. So it doesn't mark them special when you create them. So like the resources folder, I wish when you made a folder called resources, it would like mark it special for you. So I know if you have a folder here called resources, this is a special folder, and there's no way to know that it's a special folder except that you know it's a special folder. The assets folder is the main folder that contains assets used by a Unity project. The contents of the project window in the editor correspond directly to the contents of the assets folder. Most API functions assume that everything is located in the assets folder, and so don't require it to be mentioned explicitly. However, some functions do need to have asset folder included as part of the path name. Editor scripts add functionality to Unity during development but aren't available in the build at runtime. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They're even worse than magic strings. Yeah, magic folders worse than magic strings. Scripts in the editor folder run as editor scripts, not runtime scripts. So they're only available in the editor, and that's nice because it prevents it from building with your game. So when you go to deploy it, it doesn't have any of the extra editors. They have multiple editor folders placed anywhere inside the assets folder. Oh, that's kind of cool. Place your editor scripts inside of an editor folder or subfolder within it. So inside of my scripts, I can have an editor folder. Instead of my test, I can have an editor. I do wish it would mark it special, because I could imagine someone who didn't know any better saying like, oh, well, I'm building a game editor, so they have a package called editor. So you need to avoid doing that. The exact location of an editor folder affects the time at which its scripts are compiled relative to other scripts. See documentation, special folders, and script compilation order for a full description. Use the editor GUI utility.load function in editor scripts to load assets. Okay. So we're gonna try this. We're gonna put. I'm scared to put it in here directly with my scripts, but I kind of feel like it needs access to this assembly. Let's see what happens if I put it out here. Editor. This is why it needs to mark this. It needs to, at the very least, have a little warning somewhere saying, hey, just so you know, this is a magic folder name. Don't, things will not be accessible elsewhere, otherwise you're just guessing. So I'm curious here. All right, so I'm 90% sure that if I create, so I want to create a character drawer script. So Let me say so a couple more times. Let me stutter for you. Character drawer. The idea is I want to. Exactly, Gaze. This is, I'm teaching an intro to Unity course. It's only 10 weeks long, 12 weeks long, something like that. And the very first thing I have to tell my students is like, we are not going to learn, we're going to scratch the surface of Unity. We're going to learn almost nothing about Unity in the next, 24 class hours. To learn more about Unity, you really got to invest time outside learning it. That's everything, though. Everything is a big, giant system. And I think it'd be really good to have that as well. So what I want to be able to do, all right, so if I go to my character controller, what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to add in an attribute here that says character drawer. I want to do this and then have this character get rendered inside of that drawer. And so I don't know if this is possible. So I think what I need to do is do character attribute. Let's get Unity really upset with us here. Character attribute. And according to the tool, we want to extend, not the tutorial, but the manual. We're going to extend specifically a property attribute like this. Okay, so we're not a mono behavior, we're a property attribute. And if Unity recompiles here, so this is that. Now I'm not sure, since the script assembly is separate, it doesn't have access to it. So this is where I'm curious, do I have to add an assembly to my editor folder since I'm using assemblies? Or do I need to make sure that my editor is inside of this? But then that's weird because this script assembly, yeah, I don't know. All right, Unity editor scripts with assembly. Assembly definition in editor folder. I'm trying to struct my source by assembly definition. When it comes to editor folder case, it seems all scripts are included in non-editor DLL. And the event folder in the editor script only in the name editor. If there's any assembly def file in the folder, build process will ignore it and generate Unity editor reference error. Okay, so there's an editor check. Just not documented. Okay, I'm trying to implement assembly like for the larger. Okay, so we're gonna create an assembly here. Create assembly definition editor. So anyone who's not familiar with what an assembly is, so an assembly is sort of like you can make it a you can think of it as a library. So if you know what a library in programming is, an assembly is kind of like a library. It says these are scripts, this is code that should be compiled together, and then you can reference assemblies in other. So these files here, we're gonna say these are our editor assemblies. I'm gonna imply that. So this is gonna say exclude. Well, it's interesting. It says exclude platform editor. Fascinating. I'm not sure. What? Hang on. Is this excluding it from the editor or saying that and I'm trying to struct the fact that this says exclude platforms scares me slightly. And event in the folder in editor scripts only in name editor if there is an assembly def file in the folder, but build process will not ignore it and generate Unity editor reference. Okay, I think this is the right one, and I think I want to remove the any platform. So I want to, yeah. Okay, there we go. Don't include any platforms except the editor. There we go. So if this was checked, it inverts. It says exclude all platforms. All right, so we want to only include the editor. There we go. So this will only run in the editor. And now, can we? One thing, I need a reference to the other one. And can they be recursively defined? I don't think so. So maybe I need to not do this. Maybe it needs to actually be part of the script. So it is related to these. It's just, all right, so let's talk about the assembly real quick. So in tests, for example, I have my tests that I run separately. This is a separate assembly. It does not, let's apply that real quick. The tests will not be packaged when I go to deploy the product at the end of the day. They should not be packaged. So if we look in the inspector at this one, we see that this one is only an editor assembly. Okay. It needs access to my other scripts, my controllers and stuff, because it's testing those. So those are added into the assembly references. So it needs those. The one thing that's interesting here that I'm not sure, oops, sorry for bumping my microphone like that. I hope it wasn't too loud. Is I'm trying to figure out my scripts are going to want to reference my editor, right? But my editor is also going to want to reference my scripts because it needs to be able to say, it was loud to me, though. It like made a weird tinking sound, so I was worried it was too loud. I'm glad it wasn't. So we're trying to reference our, so there's this recursive definition where editor wants to have access to the character class and stuff, but the character class and stuff need reference to the editor script as well. So I don't know if I can make it recursive. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out here. Yeah. I know, okay, so I know I'm 90% sure if I go over to my scripts here. So for example, I need reference to TextMesh Pro to do stuff in this assembly. If I were to add in, lock that in place real quick, this assembly, I should supposedly have access to these things now. So what's nice is if you have your assembly separate, it only recompiles the assemblies that have changes. So if you have like crazy big compilation times, it might make sense to create smaller assemblies that compile separately. This is also if you're releasing patches and upgrades to things, having your separate assemblies be separate can make those patches smaller, so you don't have to package the entire game together. So if we have this assembly here, would it be character? Hang on, I gotta figure out. Might just be naming it wrong. So so where does this word range come from? Using the built-in property called range object, you can do just that. Okay, so it would be character attribute. Custom property drawer. All right, let's try mimicking some of this to see if we can figure out what we're doing. All right, so we have character attribute. And then this one's going to be a drawer. And we're going to say that custom property type of character attribute. And I think we need to import, let's reopen this to get those errors in here. We need to import, okay, it doesn't like that. We're gonna import this from somewhere. So it has to do with how many assemblies you need to so every assembly gets compiled into a DLL, dynamic library. And so if you have a really small, if your dynamic libraries are smaller, if you have an update, you may only need to send out that one DLL that you change. So if you have one DLL that's really small, you may only have to send out that. If everything's packaged into one giant DLL, you're going to have to send that whole thing. I remember this was an issue with a game called Sword Coast Legends, where they patched, like, every patch was like a 12 gigabyte download. It was crazy. I was going, they didn't even, so it was like indicative that, oh, they're not breaking their assemblies up in a nice way, because it was almost like they just changed one minor thing. Not entirely true, but if you read the patch notes, it felt like they changed one minor thing, but you essentially had to re-download the entire game. It's an old game. It did not do well. It was a huge flop. I was super excited about it, and it flopped, unfortunately. I was really sad to see it die. I enjoyed it, but did not live up to the hype, unfortunately. That's like most games, though. I mean, sometimes updates can also just be related to lots of resources being necessary as well. So don't get me wrong, it's not going to solve all of your update issues, but you shouldn't have to, if you do it well, you shouldn't have to like send your entire program again. So like it seemed to me that all of the images and stuff happened to be packaged inside of the DLL. And maybe I'm completely wrong. I could be completely wrong. Character drawer? I think I need to figure out... Alright, so let's add this to a namespace real quick. Namespace adventure quest dot editor. So I need to be able to import this namespace first, or mark it as using. I always say import, but essentially it's a using in this case. So if I can't do a using adventure quest dot editor. All right. This is gonna tell me the type or namespace that does not exist. Can I force? So it's not finding... Are you missing an assembly reference? Clearly I am. Because I'm not getting it here. Okay, so the reason I definitely can't get it because I'm not seeing the assembly yet. So what am I doing here with this assembly? I don't want to edit that. That's how you make things horrible. Let's get rid of that. We will comment this line out again. And use GUIDs. Maybe that is... I want... What's interesting is that the assembly essentially doesn't recompile. I'd expect it to want to recompile if I did that. So part of me also is thinking that the magic folder names might only work if you're not using assemblies. All right, let's look at this assembly real quick. There's an apply button I was missing. I never clicked apply. Okay. When I tried to click away, it told me that there was an apply. Okay, so now, okay, I just never clicked apply, so it didn't rebuild, it didn't update that reference to that assembly. But yeah, if you're using an assembly, referencing another one, you can just swap, as long as the interface doesn't change. This is why interfaces are so important to not change. If your interface changes, then you have to rebuild the other assembly as well. Otherwise, it just sort of calls out to it. Okay, so now, do I have a character drawer? What made you decide that I wanted to make games? That's a good question, Gaze. But I think it's fun to make games. That's one. But what's making me make games right now is that I'm teaching a Intro to Unity course, so I had to learn better practices in Unity. So previously, let me show you some nightmare code real quick. So previously, all of my Unity experience was part of Game Jam. So here's my GitHub. My previous experience was part of Game Jam. So let's go try Jam. So prepare yourself for some horribleness. Let's go look at try Jam 49. Which one was this? See, look, there's like, so try Jam is a 3-hour game jam. You have 3 hours to finish a game. You get a whole weekend to do it. So you can do your 3 hours anytime. It's essentially an honesty, but it's about, you can do as much planning as you want, but you can only spend 3 hours actually programming or like doing art, that sort of stuff. All right, so this is my hacks. This is what I call my hacks. So I didn't know how to do scenes. I didn't know how to do anything. So if you come in here, my scripts, I have all these scripts completely uncommented. Just sort of being like, let's just hack this thing together. I don't know how to do sound. Let's build a sound controller. Look, everything's public. It's all the bad habits, all the bad habits. All right, so not good examples of code. So really, why am I learning Unity right now? Well, I'm going to be teaching a Unity class. And so I got to learn better habits, because when you teach something, it's different than if you're just hacking something together, right? I want to teach people, how do we do this in a way that is scalable? So I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm doing Unity game development right now out of some level of necessity, I would say. Character. Okay, so what's interesting is we just put this character attribute. Okay, so the word attribute gets dropped there. So this definitely needs to be not called character attribute, because using character here is just bad practice. Character is like, this is like overloading the term character, which means a single symbol. And there's a character class in C#, I believe, by default in .NET. So this shouldn't be called character attribute. It needs to be called something else. I'm gonna call this character. I can't call it character drawer, or maybe I could call it character drawer attribute. All right, so we have a character drawer attribute and then an actual character drawer. Okay, so now did this update in my character controller? Yeah. So the references were matching. Let's rebuild this. So I'm trying to get the character drawer to appear. I have a player character controller. All right, I don't need to lock this anymore. And this is the serialized character, but I actually want the character drawer attribute. Can I get this to examine the underlying property? All right, so let's look at the documentation a little bit more. I'm gonna read some more documentation here. Learned a little bit more about special folders. What other special folders should I be worried about? There's a gizmos. I knew about resources. Streaming assets I didn't know about. Android pack. So not a ton, but I didn't know about gizmos and streaming assets I didn't know about. So good to know. I think streaming assets are if you want to do like videos or something. I didn't really know about it, but I had a student last year doing they wanted a background that was an image, and it turned out way to put it in streaming assets. they wanted a background that was a video, not an image. So we had done like a character, like a dress up doll game, paper doll game where you're dressing up like a character inventory screen. You can change the armor and weapon. Character drawer attribute. Okay, so we want to say custom property of this type. It needs to be a property drawer. Did I already do that? Here we go. So it needs to be a property drawer. And then draw the property inside of the given rectangle. I've seen this before. All right, so let's see if we can get something here. And so this one happens to be character attribute. Okay. But can I get the underlying value? Property. All right, so we're going to say serialized property type. Fascinating. Range.min, range.label, property.property. Okay, so this is the property. This is interesting. So I want to do, let's do a debug.log property. Let's just property.name. I'm curious. And I think we can, if we just added a label here, so we could do the following. We can say, let's add a label. Position, label, text, just to get someone like this. So we'll say character drawer. All right, we'll comment this out real quick. So I think some magic maybe will happen here. No magic. And it might. Player, character controller, character controller, character controller. It may be because it's on a I character here, and that would be disappointing. I might have to write like some magic wrapper. So I'm curious if I were to put this on something that can be serialized. I think it might say, oh, this is an interface. I can't serialize this. What happens if I put it on character here? This would be real sad and disappointing. Okay, so it didn't show up there either. So that gives me a little bit more confidence that it's not completely not working. On GUI, private members unused. So you should do something like protected here to get rid of that warning. Take the current member, override the implements. Do I have to do override? I don't think so. Unity does weird stuff. We don't actually. It'd be public. Ooh, interesting. Nothing on that. Let us keep trying. All right, I might have to use their specific example in this case. Let's do their example and see if we can massage it from there. So in their example, they sort of have these floats. Okay. They have some floats. So let's add some floats here. And I'm gonna rename this here. So now this should public. What is it? Hang on. This is so fascinating. Considering this to be a constructor. Maybe it's not Dota. Happy Sunday, Monday. Happy Monday, not Sunday anymore. Happy Monday, my friend. It's so nice to see you. How we doing? How was your weekend? wants this to be a void. We're just gonna have the same name. My range attribute. Yeah. If I just did void here, it would tell me I can't do that. That's weird that their example is kind of busted this way. Good. Getting into work in 7 minutes? Yeah. I go back to work today too. My new contract starts. All right, we're gonna try this. And then this should yell at me now saying that I have to give it a range 0 and 10. Any float should work there. And then my character drawer, we're gonna again follow along this editor thing here. We're just gonna still this. Gaze says, I was inspired by 3 different games along with the Ghibli studio art style, and so now I'm diving into it. I love studio. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? I can never remember. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Studio Ghibli animes. They're awesome. They're awesome. When I was, I've been super into it strong. When I was younger, I was super into anime. There was on like Sunday mornings, I've always been an early riser. Sunday mornings, for some reason, there was anime on at between like 4 and 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings on some TV channel. I don't know. And I got into it. I remember really liking Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, I think were on at that time. And so I'd watch it before I we went to church on Sunday mornings. And so, yeah, I remember really thinking that was the bee's knees, as the young people might say. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and just went to bed instead. Yeah, I'm a little bit crazy. Peculiar. Crazy might not be. I am crazy, but we're gonna do. So interesting that the stuff they have going on here does not compile by default. Character German is not XL to the protection level. Let's make this guy public. They had this as a method. Their documentation's really not really weird and off here. It's like someone wrote it without actually writing it. It's almost like someone's like, oh, it'll be something like this. This documentation feels broken and incorrect. But maybe I'm wrong. So character controller here. Let's try putting this on an int, our float. Private float tests float. I've seen good examples. Yeah, it's usually like not great practice, but this is like extra bad. This is supposed to be a constructor. It shouldn't have void. These can't access them because they don't have an access miner. So I think, but it's just fascinating the way they've done it. But let's see if I can get this in here. So I might have to go find a different. Yeah, I think I've done it before. I've created my own custom drawers before. But this is not. Oh, do I need this thing to be? I think I need to make it serializable. I think if it's public, we could do it. I think it needs to be serialized first. I bet that's what's happening. Yeah, okay. So now, can I put this on here and say serialize field and get them to come through? That's what it was. Okay. There we go. Yeah, use my range with float or int. Okay, so I can. All right, what if I? Oh, can I do this? This is what I want. I want to be able to put it on the interface. Come on, baby. Oh, wham. No good. That said, It doesn't work on the interface, which is where I want to be able to put it. So I need like a character. So what I need to do is have like a character drawer class or something where you can say, okay, well, this is a character drawer and it's like a reference to some other thing, and then that will know how to do it. So we're gonna keep fiddling around here, see if we can get some price. Have a wonderful day, Dota. Good luck at work, and I hope to catch you another time. I'd love to see you stream some more. I love watching your thought process. I think you have a wonderful coding thought process. So anytime you stream, I would love to see you posting it on my Discord so I can remember to go to it. But yeah, have a wonderful day. Thanks for popping in. Okay, so in this case, we need to... all right, so Story Girl, update. Here's where we are. The drawers, if you put them on you have to serialize it. So the thing you want to have in your drawer seems to need to be serializable. So we can serialize the field character drawer. So my character drawer attribute, when I put it on something that's serialized, we get that in here. So we see the outcome of that here. Because Unity doesn't know how to serialize characters, we are going to need to make, I think, a wrapper class that sort of says like drawer serializer or like interface serializable, something like that. So we'll have like a serialized field, you put it on it, and you do something like I'm thinking of a class here called, I can't think of a good name because I'm bad at naming things, but the idea is I'm gonna have something called like character or interface drawer. And it is gonna be, there's gonna be something where I say, okay, and it happens to reference this thing. So it's gonna have a reference to the character, and then that thing will know how to render itself nicely. It has to be a concrete class. So I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do. So I think I need to add in another class over here. That's sort of our, and I'm starting with concrete types, and I'm gonna, because I don't know exactly what it looks like, but so this is gonna be like our character, concrete character wrapper, or drawer adapter, something like that. Character wrapper. That's what I'm gonna call it for now. So a character wrapper is gonna be serializable. It's not gonna be a mono behavior though. And I think I can get it to work with most interfaces. So a character wrapper system.serializable. And it's gonna have a method. So when you construct this, it's, public character wrapper. You need to give it a method, a delegate, a function. All right, so it's a system.func. We're gonna give it a thing. It's gonna say, get me an eye character. This is gonna be our like get method. And I can't think of a good name for it here. Random jazz piano, nice. Do you have any, so I'm a trombonist. I played trombone. I haven't played in quite some time, actually, probably 5 or 6 years, which is sad. But I played trombone bass trombone was my quote unquote specialty, but in big bands for years. So when I was an undergrad, that was like one of my main forms of income. Character wrapper system.func iCharacter get character. This is a bad name for this. And this is where my cyclical stuff is gonna come in, because this doesn't reference it. Writing for wind band, nice. I love composing. I'm bad at composing music, but I also love composing music. 2 years ago was my year of creativity. That was like my theme for the year of creativity. This year's theme is the year of education. So my goal is to create educational content, promote educational content. But 2 years ago was the year of creativity, and as part of that, I ended up creating quite a bit of video game music. System funk, nice. But if you're interested in listening to some of my not so amazing music that I've composed, these are like semi-wind band stuff. So I have it here. I'm semi-proud of it. Nothing amazing, but definitely was fun to do. All right, so my editor, I think if I try and do a recursive, so here's the thing, I would like to be able to reference my character stuff here. And I think this is gonna end up with a recursive definition. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Can two assemblies reference each other? Cyclical, you cannot reference each other. Okay, so that tells me that I actually need to make this editor part of or I need to be really, really careful. All right, so this should be I'm gonna call this our interface wrapper of type T. Interface wrapper of type T. So this thing's gonna take in a T. So it's gonna be able to like get one of these things and render it. Get interface. So you have to tell it how it gets the data. All right, we're gonna try and do this in a separate editor assembly because ideally it should work without. Oh, I gotta click apply. Yeah, so I was pretty sure you couldn't have cyclical references. It makes a lot of sense that you can't do that. Why are you... Oh, I got rid of the... There we go. Okay, so this is gonna be called character. All right, let's fix... we got a lot of things we gotta fix here now. In our editor, this should be interface. We're gonna call this a serialize interface serializer. Okay, it's gonna be our interface serializer. And we're gonna sort of have to have instructions on how to serialize something out. Okay, and then we have a character drawer. This is gonna be our interface drawer. Interface drawer. And this is gonna be our interface serialize interface attribute. Almost like we don't have this attribute anymore because we are just going to customize how our interface serializer looks. So I'm curious. I'm a little curious how we're going to make this happen. And I'm generalizing too early, I think. I think instead I got to add this into my scripts here. But all right, so if I create all right, we're gonna add it to our scripts here. Create folder editor, because it needs to reference the other stuff in there, and then maybe I'll break it down later over here. All right, so this script, I'm gonna no longer. I'm a little sad that I can't break it out this way, but it is tightly coupled, so it makes sense that I can't. We're gonna get rid of that assembly. It's gonna make this a little bit mad, but we're gonna copy these over for now. And try and fix some stuff. All right, so our editor, we don't need that anymore. These should be renamed back to character drawer. Character drawer. And then interface serializer. I don't know that I need it to be interface serializer anymore. It's sort of like a character serializer. All right, so character. So character serializer. All right, so we're gonna get rid of this T. So instead, this thing's gonna take in an I character, like that. And now we're in the same assembly, so we should be able to reference it. Okay, and we're gonna change this back to character serializer. And character serializer. And the idea is that this thing is going to know how to draw things. So editor GUI is a class. Okay. So the idea is inside of this character drawer, it's going to do something. But the idea, okay, so I'm massaging my brain here, figuring this out. Let's go over to our character controller though. So our character controller, now the idea is the character is not serial. The I character can't be serialized, but we can add in a serializable thing here. And maybe I can learn how to do this a little bit better with a property. But the idea is that I'm actually going to have a character serializer here. And so this thing knows how to serialize a character. It's going to be relatively easy because as long as it's okay. Anyway, serializer. And then this, we're going to make it be a character serializer. And the function happens to just return player character. So we want to be able to get that character. Field initializer cannot reference a non. Oh. So that makes sense that we can't do that. We would need it to be the observable. Because when I construct this, I have to. Can I pass in? Can I do this here? This isn't ready. This isn't available yet. I guess on awake, then we would want our serializer to be a new character serializer. Like this. Okay, so the idea is the character serializer is it has a way to grab this thing and serialize it. And then let's rename this file. Pro tip, I keep breaking things, but I would say pro tip. What I really mean is, I'm not sure if I'm correct tip. But do not, I know this one's for sure good advice. Do not rename your files in your code editor, only rename your files in Unity when you're working on a Unity project to prevent potential disasters. I know I say that one a lot, but a not so pro tip. Let's go not so pro tip. Okay. And then this needs to be serialized. Okay, so we do want. I'm wondering if. A not so pro tip. Wonder if I can do something like this, like as a has character. All right, so our character serializer works like this. We're going to serialize that field. And if we go over to our player character controller object, we have our serializer. Okay, so we do see it here. I need to do a custom drawer for this. So I don't think I need the drawer attribute anymore. This is going to be our character drawer. And this happens to be a drawer of our character serializer. So this is going to be, I'm going to rename, rename your class in the code using your editor. But do not rename the file outside of Unity. So if you rename it this way, since I did a refactor here, it'll rename it in all the places it needs to. But if I were to rename it in there, if I were to rename this file inside of VS Code, it doesn't update the references throughout Unity. So there's some metadata that knows how to update all of your scenes if you modify the file name here. But if you modify the file name, it doesn't modify the class name itself. So I believe by doing that, I now have this custom. Yes, so now it's doing a custom thing here. Okay, we're about to make some progress, I think. We're about to have a minor breakthrough. So in my drawer now, I have access to my character serializer. All right, so character serializer, like this. Yes. Character serializer, attribute. What did I have before? Oh, my property is actually, all right, so I don't need this anymore because I'm not using a property. All right, let's go back to the documentation real quick. Oops. Documentation. Read the documentation. All right, so we're gonna do a custom serializable. Same thing here, so on GUI, the property that's coming in happens to be the serialized thing. Okay, so our property happens to be the serialized thing. And our serialized property. Building. All right, our character serializer. Get, we'll call this get character. All right, we got to save this. This is gonna be a private system.function iCharacter. Get character. Let's just get character. Get character equals get character. So we need to know how to access that thing. I guess we need to know how to set that thing too in some ways, but this is gonna, character serializer needs to have all of the things that we serialize within a character, so that we know how to render it. So I think we actually need to have like the JSON. All right, so This one's gonna have the private string character JSON. Okay, and so this one, oh yeah, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. It says the character JSON. So this one's a serialized field. Right, so the serializer keeps track of the JSON, and then it will know how to deserialize and render that in our drawer. So we're actually gonna make this a public. We're gonna make this a property. Like this. And it's gonna be very get private set. And then we can serialize it. Yeah. All right, so then we can serialize it. And what we do is we override the iSerialize callback receiver. When we go to serialize ourselves, come on, baby, implement for me. There we go. When we go to serialize, we actually say if get character is null, we can't serialize. So if get character hasn't been defined, we don't do anything. Then we also need to like get the character. Then we're gonna say I character character is equal to get character dot invoke. So we're gonna actually pull out the character driver and we're gonna say, well, if that thing's also null, if character is also null, we can't do anything. But if we are able to, oh, this is actually should be on before serialize. So when we go to serialize, we need to do this. Put that first. Rogue semicolon, we can get rid of that. Okay. But if we actually have a character, then we can set the character JSON equal to come on, brain, you can do it. Our character dot encode. Okay, so our character interface needs to have an encode, and an encode or a to.json on it. All right, so to.json. Okay, I think that is what we need. Okay, so we need in our I character. This needs a public string to JSON. And it should probably just be called JSON or as JSON. Okay. And then that's going to yell at us. We have to in our player character class. We don't have that, but pretty easy to add in. So this will be an attribute public string as JSON. This just goes to encode this. So we have an encoder, which is just using the utility. So this could actually just be rewritten like that. Okay, so we know how to encode this. So then we'll have that stored in our character serializer. Okay, and so that will be serialized. Let's have this build. Build and sad. Oh, so I named it as JSON. That. So we get the character, we save the JSON, and then in our drawer for now, I'm just gonna add a little thing. What's cool is this is like now it can be sort of read only. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in our property dot, and I'm pretty sure our property happens to be, so let's try something crazy. Character serializer. Cannot convert. Okay. How are we doing this? Property type. I know I need to be able to access it, so I want to be able to pull it out. So I don't need that. Where's attribute coming from? Ooh, interesting. Attribute. Well, it should be, it's like null here. All right, so we're gonna try something real quick. Add in more comments. Adding in more comments. Editor GUI dot label field position label dot text JSON test. All right, so we want to be able to get the underlying data and turn it into JSON and display it here. So we're going to play around with that a little bit more. JSON test is what we get. But more specifically, I want to be able to access... It's casting it... Serialized property. Serialized property and serialized are classes for editing properties on objects in a completely generic way that automatically handles undo, multi-object editing, and prefab overrides. Can I get property dot... They're like a value? It's like an object value, right? Object. Serialized object. So let's try this. Character serializer. Character. Serializer. Serialized object, this property belongs to read only, cannot convert. Okay, so let's done this before. Property field. Okay, so I need to get, hang on. The property prefab prefix label. Where's property going on in here? Property dot find property. Okay, so I think I want to do the following. Property dot find retrieves a serialized property at a relative path. Let's look at this here. What about this documentation? I want to be able to pull out and it's something that's probably of type object. Property type is override, prefab override. I want to like access a field inside of it. Serialized object, display name, get, there should be a method somewhere, data equals contents, clear, copy, delete, duplicate, find property, retrieves the serial property at a relative path, get array element, get property, get end property. I'm gonna go look at, I've done this before. Let's go look at my dungeon editor, dungeon crawler. This isn't the right one. Dungeoneering kit. Or is it Dungeon Meister? We'll find out which one. Dungeoneering Unity assets submodules. Ended up moving to like Unity utils. Fascinating. Utils, Unity editor utils, Unity engine utils. That's not what I want. C# utils. Ah. Is there another branch? Assets. There's nothing here. Okay. So then it was part of Trijam Dungeon Rampage. Assets. Script. How did I... Captain Coder, that's probably where it is. Dungeoneering version 0. Here we go. Editor. Yeah. So these are my editor scripts. So let's see if I can look at here. Tile controller editor. So I wanted to be able to pull out my tile controller. So there's a thing called target. But this is like a whole editor. It's not, so this isn't like a drawer. This is interesting. So I did something very different here. I wasn't doing drawers, doing editors. And it was saying, okay, I'm gonna attach this to a tile map controller. Oh. So maybe that's really what I want to do. Making a custom editor for this thing might be... It would be nice to be able to just like serialize a single, like any character I want, just be like, oh, serialize the character. But maybe I need that to be able to pull out the information. Let's keep reading here. Ingredient drawer is a property drawer. On the character serializer. This is semi-working. All right, let's get rid of all this extra stuff here. Ah, lost my window. Found it. I want to be able to access... At some point, they have to be accessing the ingredient itself. In a custom drawer, every appearance of the ingredient class in the inspector. All right, so they are pointed out here. All right, I think I really just need to be doing find property relative. All right, so let's try this. Find property relative, and the property happens to be character JSON. And then property field. Okay, this lets us display a property field, which isn't really what I want. I want to pull out information from that. So this is returning a serialized property. Serialized property field. I'm gonna go look at the documentation on serialized property. And maybe I just want to make a custom serialized property Unity. How do I get the underline? Primarily used to read or change the value of a property. It can also iterate through the properties of an object using next. See also serialized object. So I think this thing has a string on it now. So if I do, all right, let's try the following. String value. Yes. Value of a string property. Okay, so this should be JSON. And I should be able to do add in another field here, although this might not be quite what I want. Let's make this JSON and see what happens. I think it's gonna do something not so great initially. I'm gonna have to step away for a second. I got something in my eye. I'll be right back. All right, I think I got it. I don't know what I got in my eye, but I touched my eye, gave myself something. Okay. I want to do dot string value, and this will be a string. So that should be like null essentially. Well, null, yeah, so I get some null values. It's saying that the value happens to be null because it hasn't serialized anything. So it's not until this thing wakes up the first time that it'll actually do anything with it. So what we can do is I think we can say serialized property character, and then we'll say if character is null, we'll display null, character data not initialized, else we will put out character dot string value. Okay, so we're gonna try. So this should give us like character data not initialized. Does both things because I think you need to have like an editor. It's putting out the word JSON test followed by dumping that on top of it. So there's like you can make a drawer, like a drop down thing that shows up. But I think now if we click on that, not initialized, but I'm hoping when we run it, okay, maybe it's not getting initialized at all. Needs to sort of it needs to know how to update itself somehow. Or maybe this is just never actually serializing. Put in some debugs in here. Debug.log serialized character. So this would be interesting now if it so serializing characters being called over and over, which is fascinating. I actually don't want that happening all the time like that. It should really only... That's fascinating to me. If character JSON is equal to character as JSON, return. Don't change the value if it already is there. I think it might, because this value is changing, it's going, oh, I need to reserialize or something. That's interesting that it's calling it over and over and over. It might just be because the editor's open, So every frame it tries to redraw it. Yeah, so I think that is what was happening. Now it's all right. Yeah, so every time this value would change, it's going like, oh, I need to serialize myself again because my value changed. I need to do a check. It says don't change it if it's already been there. Interesting is character data not initialized. So I'm clearly not understanding this portion. So let me try making this private instead. And change it to a serialized field. And we're gonna try getting the property. Find property relative might not be the correct thing to do. Let's try this. There we go. All right. So my question is, after I stop, it does sort of clear itself out, which is interesting. So it's not that it's null, or that's fascinating to me that it is nothing there. All right, but we do have it sort of showing us the JSON. So now I can potentially say like, okay, now I can render this whole thing out. And when the editor changes stuff, propagate that back to our actual character. This is our serialized character. And it's not looping infinitely. I'm confused why nothing's there right now. I'm assuming that the string value happens to be null. Oh, on after deserialize? On after deserialize something. I'm not quite understanding. I'm assuming that the string itself happens to be the empty string. All right, so we're gonna add a little thing in here. It says else if character is equal to string.empty. Character.string value. Character is empty. So that is, I think, what's happening. Yeah, the character data happens to be empty, which is interesting. At the very least, when we're running, we can see it. It's no longer null, it's empty, and I don't understand why it's empty. That bit doesn't make sense. I think it's because when we hit stop, it wants to go back to what it was previously. So I think the thing is, like, if you change things in the editor in play mode and then you stop, it reverts things to what they were before play mode. So I think what we can do to test this is we need to be able to set that value in the editor. So I'm wondering if I can add a button. So this is why I'm saying, like, maybe I need an editor for this thing, right? So the editor for the thing, I think, would let me add some more stuff. So I know I can add buttons and layouts and stuff inside of my editor. Let's look at editor. Well, their custom drawer had some semi-fancy stuff. Draw a label, calculate recs, draw fields. So let's try adding in and then we go back to the indent level. Editor GUI indent level, and then we unindent. So it's like letting us add some properties in here, which is interesting. And then we end property. Begin property. All right, so begin property. And then it wants us to call end property. And then editor GUI dot label field. Editor GUI dot label field. Position label dot text. Another. Amount rect, unit rect, name rect. So it is changing the position for each one of these things. But I know that you can, there's like a layout, Unity UI layouts and stuff you can use. Let's look at custom editors. So this changes the whole editor for that replaces the editor for a whole control. And I'm curious if I can create like a layout with it. I know that there's like some layout tools that I've used. I wish I hadn't closed out the editor GUI. All right, so editor GUI dot begin property, end property. Label field, indent level. Let's take a look at, I'm pretty sure it's gonna put this on top of itself. Clayman's coming in with a raiding party. Oh boyo. Clayman, thank you for the raid, my friend. If anyone's not following Clayman's got some awesome, Clayman's a real game developer. I'm not a game developer. We got, what did Black Magic actually do? Claiming. I don't know why Nightbot's so picky about stuff. I need to figure out how to make that not so bad. Black Magic UK, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that Nightbot got you. I'm so new to Twitch. I'm so new to this sort of stuff that I don't know what I'm doing. So I apologize that you got blocked. But Clayman said, or UK says claim a 6 jam. But yeah, let's see if I can figure out how to do a shout out. Clayman dev. There we go. If you're not following Clayman, you should be. Clayman's a real game developer. I'm over here learning how to do game development. Clayman's got a whole awesome project that you should go check out on Steam as well. Clayman, you want to drop a link to your? Let me make you a VIP so it'll let you. Clayman dev. You want to drop a link to your game so people can wishlist it? Clayman's making this awesome action game that is super cool. Yeah. So go check out Clayman's hero, epic hero game. This game looks awesome. Let's unmute this for a second. Let's watch this trailer. Targeting a helpless planet. Look at that. Oh, squishy. The hero is here to save the day. Oh, gets wrecked. All part of the plan. Look at that. The Kamehameha wave. Build your own superhero. This looks awesome. I am so excited for this. With various different skills as the building blocks. Yeah, if you're not following Clayman, make sure you are. Epic Hero Game. Get updates on Epic Hero Game. Watch a real game developer. So today, so everyone who just joined in, welcome. Let's go check out my sign on real quick. I signed on today. My goals today, we're working on our RPG prototype, but here's my sign on day. We're exploring how to make custom Unity editors. All right, so I want to figure out how to do a custom Unity editor. I'm annoyed that I cannot serialize my interfaces, right? So I have these interfaces. I'm trying to do use good programming habits. So I have these interfaces that the implementation is actually serializable, but I don't want to have to select the implementation in my scripter. So I'm playing around with how do I get custom drawers, and maybe I want a custom editor is really what I'm thinking I want is a custom editor, not a custom drawer. And I think I'm almost there. I think I want a custom editor, and my editor is going to just be called like there's going to be a component called like a character inspector. I'm pretty sure I'm almost there. But we've been playing around with drawers. We have our interface rendering in here. Yeah. So the idea is I have a character. Well, so here's the thing. My character, I know I can see it in my editor. So the idea is I'd have a mono behavior called a character inspector, and that mono behavior will only exist as part of the editor. And if you have something in your scene that you want to inspect, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, I can add that in here. And then I can say like this character controller happens to have a character on it, and that will allow me to inspect that character. So right now we're just playing around with getting a drawer go here. So I have a serializer, character is empty, and this actually serializes my interface here. All right, so I get the JSON that gets serialized. So under the hood, so I have this class, I have this interface called iCharacter, right? And all of the iCharacters happen to be JSONable, so I can turn them to JSON. And so because of that fact, I'd like to be able to have an inspector that shows my character in my editor. And actually, it'd be really cool if I could update it. So since the character can go to JSON, I'm also going to have a method in here. I'm going to add a public. So there will be a public static iCharacter from JSON that's going to return the actual character there. And so I should be able to have this interface that goes back and forth in an editor component, right? So I should be able to pull that off. And so today we're just exploring how we might do that. Yeah. So, but before I get too excited about what I'm doing, Clayman, how was your stream? I caught about an hour of it, maybe 30 minutes to an hour of it before I popped out, but looked like you were making doing some fun stuff. So tell everyone here why they absolutely should be following you. But how'd your stream go? Silver Zero, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for the follow. And Clayman, if you'd like, if you have the time, I know you might be hopping off. If you'd like to join on voice chat on Discord, or I can try and do the guest star thing and bring you in if you want to chat with everyone while I'm sort of exploring this. Thumber T Games, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm not sure what your plans are right now. If you gotta go, I know whenever I'm done, I usually gotta go when I raid someone. So I usually can't stay too long. But so at some point you should come on my stream. I'd be happy to let you show off what you're doing. Yeah, I figured you were. That's how I am at the end of my stream. If when I raid someone, it's like they always ask me, "How's your stream?" And I'm like, I want to get out of here a little bit. So don't feel like you got to stay too long. Um, yeah. So I'm pretty sure I want to go an editor route. Okay. So we're gonna pivot here. We're gonna pivot here. Polishing up your cutscene. Cool. Cool, cool. So I actually don't think I want my serializer here. I think I need this to be a whole editor. All right, so I'm going to create a mono behavior. We're going to create a mono behavior in our character. Oh no, in our scripts editor. All right, editor. We're going to actually have a character inspector. And this is going to be a mono behavior. All right, so public character inspector, public class, mono behavior. And so this is where I think the magic kind of, quote unquote magic, this is how I'm going to try and make the magic happen. It was trying to help me here. We'll put this in a namespace here. Namespace adventure class.editor.character. So the idea is that I don't want to have to attach anywhere. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this thing has a spot for a game object you can like drag into it. That's the idea. Is I have a game object you can drag into it. This is going to be our character inspector. So it'll have, the idea is I want to be able to attach this. I'm going to have to revert a bunch of stuff here. The idea is I could have a character inspector. And I'd say, oh, the thing I want to inspect happens to be this character. And I think I can do, what's the, Unity editor only pounds define. What are they called? How to make an execute an editor only. I want to add in if Unity editor. Yeah. So this thing should only exist if Unity editor. So we're only going to have this in our editor. And if. So this mono behavior only will exist in the Unity editor. It's also in this editor folder, so I don't think I need this, but the idea is this will only exist out in the world. And we want the idea here is do I have an I has? Yeah, so I want to create a new interface on my character model called I has character. Okay. And namespace adventure quest dot character. And this is a very simple interface. Public interface I has character. The only thing this interface does is it tells you that public I character character. So you're going to have a property where you can get that character back. All right, so I can attach this to anything. Let's make sure Unity's happy. Unity often doesn't like to be happy. But now we can say, okay, the character controller has an I has character. Thing has a character. And Specifically, the character happens to be this thing. So I can get rid of this serializer. But it's going to have a property down here. So it has a property, public iCharacter character goes to player character. So we're going to be able to get the player character off of this thing. Okay. And our character inspector is going to have a spot for, in this case, just any game object, right? It's going to be any game object. Is that right? Or any mono behavior, maybe? Interesting. I want to be able to get... As character. So we want to be able to specify something here. Oh, and we're going to use a Unity event to do this. We're going to use a Unity event to do this. Yeah. So public Unity. We want to observe. Let's get rid of this. We want to be able to observe something else. So we need to register ourselves. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay, so our character inspector has a method called, or a property. So this is going to be the iCharacter that we're observing. So this is the iCharacter we want to render. We're just going to call it character. And it has a public set on it. All right. And in fact, I kind of want this to be just a set. So we can set the character that we want to inspect here. And this is going to require us to have a private iCharacter character, or what we're inspecting. And the set is going to allow us to set the character like this. All right, so we have these observables. All right, so if you want to inspect something, you have to register what you're inspecting on. And in this case, we are going to be inspecting. So over here, our character, we have an observable character. This is the character we're going to inspect. And we're going to say is when this character changes, our character inspector should redraw itself. So that's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to do it. And then we need to sort of figure out how, okay, well, what about initially? Initially, how do we want to do it? And I think we can do, before I get too into that, what I want to do next is make a custom inspector, a custom editor for this. All right, so we're going to make a character editor, new character inspector editor. All right, and let's go over to our documentation. Custom editors. All right. So in this case, custom editor of type. Okay, so this thing, we're going to need this using Unity editor. Namespace adventure quest.editor.character. We're going to edit the character, or we're going to be in this namespace. So we have access to those guys. Then we have a public class character inspector editor, and it extends the editor class. And we're doing the type of a character inspector. All right, so let's have Unity compile this for us and yell at us in a moment if we don't have the types. We don't have the types, right? Editor is a namespace, but is used like a type. It's probably a Unity editor. Or I can't have a namespace called editor. I'd have to do Unity editor.editor. Oh, okay. So clearly I shouldn't have a namespace called editor if I'm going to do it that way. For now, I'm exploring. So I'm going to keep going. I give myself permission to be a bad programmer during major explorations like this one. So we got a character inspector. We got the Unity editor. Make sure that builds. Like that. And then in our documentation, we want to override the onInspector GUI. I'm not sure about this onEnable thing. Create a new serial on script and place the content with the code below. This code must inherit from editor. The custom editor attribute informs Unity which component should act as an editor for. That can edit multiple objects. Attribute tells Unity that you can edit multiple objects. All right, we're not going to do multiple objects for now. In fact, our character inspector, I think we kind of want it to be it's sort of a we're going to start out with it read only, essentially. Look at point. So this needs to get our look at points when it starts up. But we should be able to do like sort of serialized object, I think, as well. But yeah, let's see if we can look at some stuff in here. So we're going to do something like this in here. And this should be called our character inspector. And we do have some good habits. So we will make this private. And this should, it's a serialized object. This thing needs to have a, yeah. So this thing needs to have our JSON private string JSON. And this is serialized field. So this is the bit that gets serialized. And then I serialize callback receiver. This is how we make sure that the JSON here. So we had done this in our serializer. Essentially, we want this. So when this thing serializes, we need to convert the character to JSON. So we're going to do that with our character here. Like this. We don't need to get the character anymore because it's being handed off to us. Yeah, so anytime that happens, it's going to update this value, which we actually don't even necessarily need this I character here. What's actually happening is this is setting JSON to as JSON like that. In which case, we don't need any of this, because our character inspector really only cares that it can be JSONable. Ooh, this is beautiful. So I might actually have like sort of like a JSONable inspector high up class where you can say, okay, anything that can be observed that has this JSON effect, you should be able to put into it, in which case you should be able to inspect any interface that, anything that implements that is like JSONable interface, which would be nice. And then you can subclass it so the character inspector editor happens to know how to render the character itself. And so this happens to be our JSON value. This is our JSON. Like this. Okay, so when we start up, I think this is going to have like a null type thing going on. So we have that field JSON here. We can't actually set it, it doesn't care. But I'm pretty sure now when I run this, we get our data in there. Yeah, because we're observing this character. So this character knows how to be observed. And so if I were to spend some gold, so let's say I were to buy a short sword, the gold goes down. So we are in fact inspecting our interface, quote unquote interface. There's a concrete value under the hood, but this is how I'm able to observe any I character now. I didn't have to observe specifically something else. And so what we can do, does our observable character, what's interesting is we can't go sort of like the other direction. Right now we can only inspect it, so we can't write anything to it. So if I set a value here, it does nothing, which is fine. But let's get our character information displaying maybe nice in here. Yeah. And I want to make sure one other thing. How often is this being called? It should only be setting once. Yeah. So I think we're in a pretty good place right here. I just need to make it look a little nicer rather than doing this way, because now since I have this JSON, I can say the following. I can say if JSON is null, if JSON dot string value is null. Well, hang on. In my character interface, I character, I have this. For now, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to do player character dot decode JSON. And we're going to write some, if we have different types of characters, we'll be able to extract those. So you might have an NPC or something as well. But this will let us decode that. And so in our character inspector, or character inspector editor, let's figure out how to add in some nice layout stuff. The point below this object. Above this object, below this object. Okay. So I want to do sort of some layout stuff with it. Let's go look at the code I wrote again on the Dungeon Rampage game. So let's go look at Dungeon Rampage source code real quick again. I had a bunch of editors in there. Rampage. There it is. And this was in our Dungeoneering kit. And so Dungeoneering editor, here we go. So we want to look at how we did it here. set side editor layout dot enum and layout check editor GUI layout dot object field. So maybe we can just start adding stuff in without too much. All right, let's try this. So we're going to say editor GUI layout dot label field name. What are the param types that we should put in here? Options. But really I want this to be our, we're going to load up the character. So we have an I character. So we're going to do using adventure quest.character. So we have the I character coming in. We're going to parse out our character from the JSON field. Is equal to I character dot from JSON, JSON dot string value. We know it's a string value, so we need to do one little thing here where we sort of say, I'm gonna, all of my wrapper stuff is gonna go here, but I'm gonna do a private void render character like this, and this will have a little check at the beginning that says if JSON.string value is null or JSON.string value is the empty string, we don't render anything. Otherwise, we'll actually do the rendering. All right, so in this case, we'll do render character. Like that. Well, and actually, I'm going to do this. It's going to take in a character. And this check, yeah. So in this check, here, we will display one thing if the character is not displayable. Else, we will parse in the character. Yeah. And we'll add in some error checking inside of that. All right, so if we cannot load the character or it's null, we say character data. And then the value we'll display is going to be character data not initialized. Not initialized. Okay. Otherwise, we will do character.name. What does this look like? Not initialized, but when we run it, we get that our character's name is Delilah. So this is kind of nice to see what the underlying information is. It should be relatively easy too. See what happened. So before, when I was doing the property, these didn't lay out nice. So I'm really interested if I do gold. Do character.gold dot toString. What will happen? And if they overlay each other, then I got to figure out what to do from there. But yeah, name, gold. So we have this nice read-only thing, and now if I buy something, it'll update my inspector here. So going the other way is going to be not super challenging, I don't think. It's just we need to sort of essentially know how to go the other way. So this thing isn't actually registered here. We need some sort of something. NG Sanders, happy Monday, my friend. Welcome aboard. You're always welcome to lurk, but if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'm here learning. We're all learning. Our goal is to just continue growing and getting better and becoming solid programmers, game developers, whatever our goals all are. Create something. Creating stuff is fun. That's pretty much how I feel about it. Creating stuff is fun. But yeah, feel free to ask questions. We are currently exploring how to write custom editors. So I have this sort of, I have interface. I'm trying to, one of the, ideas with solid programming is to use interfaces. But you cannot serialize interfaces to an inspector, but I want to be able to see my character's data in the inspector because it's not always visible on the screen. But now we have that, and so that's pretty cool. Let's get my attributes showing now as well. We'll get my attributes in my inventory, and I think that'll be pretty cool. So I know I can do for each attribute ability score in character dot abilities, not attributes. Dot. Ooh, this isn't an iterable. Character dot abilities dot. Is there anything here? I can loop through all of them. So really, what we want to do is Thumbert Games. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a beautiful day. And of course, you're welcome back anytime. Abilities dot type. So let's look at this, all of them. Bio, I want to screen share me playing Gorilla Tag, and I'm 16 but sound like 13 somehow. Anyone who doesn't know, Biotests has created some awesome assets for us. So you don't always have, you can instantiate a public object based on an interface. Yep. And drop any class that implements that interface into the inspector. You can't drop any class that implements it into the inspector. You can only, so if I wanted, mono behaviors are the only thing that you can like sort of drag around here in the inspector. I could be wrong. But I want to be able to like sort of pass information back. But anyway, we're gonna get this rendered. It's read only right now. I'm really happy with it. The idea though is my character controller wants to be able to control any arbitrary character, not necessarily a player character. So I have like an interface I character, and I want to be able to swap that type of character out later if I need to. Biotest asks, how does events work? So an event is essentially have you heard of what a callback is? So an event is kind of like a way to give a callback. So the way I'm using it, so we have this idea of a character here. When, well, I have compilation errors. Let me fix my compilation errors real quick. So this should be ability here. So I'll explain how mine works here. So I have this idea of my character. The state of my character changes when I do stuff in the game. Interesting story, girl. I'm not, so, yeah. So the problem I have though is that in my character, all right, so if I open up my character controller, all right, so my character controller, I cannot put a serialized on an interface. Unity will not allow me to do that. Even though the thing underlined, the underlying thing happens to be serializable, I am not allowed to put serialize on this field or an attribute if it has I character. So to get around that, you can say, oh, well, I have player character, but later on I'm gonna have different types of characters. And in fact, it should probably be called, living entity or something, I living entity. So you have characters, you have monsters, you have other things that you might want to be able to look at in the inspector, but you can't because it's an I character. So it says, well, how do we show that thing in the inspector? Without doing this hack where I say, okay, well, I have a serialized character that I can do, and it's a concrete type. Yeah, I know I can call it on the class that serialized it, but what if my class wants to be able to do it on the I character? What if I want to do it on the abstract idea of a character, and I want to be able to see that in my inspector, and I don't know what the concrete type is at the time. So what if I don't know what the concrete type is at the time? That's the whole reason I'm building a character inspector, is that this thing instead knows how to do it with the JSON, but render it nicely. Exactly. That's the whole thing. It's a contract. It doesn't make sense. So how do I choose which one to render? Right? So the idea here is, well, my character happens to know how to turn itself into JSON, and my character inspector will know how to display that information. So it is a contract, but there are things that a character has that all of them, I should be able to render them. Yeah, thank you, Bio. All right, so we were trying to answer the question here. Sorry, I got distracted. Uh, yeah, mock up an example. I'd love to check it out. I think you've never been wrong before. So I think maybe there's just a miscommunication about what we're doing. Maybe you were agreeing with me. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if you're saying that what I'm doing is a fool's errand. I don't know if it is. It might be. But biotest events. All right. So we have these Unity events. This particular one. So simple ones. Simple ones. An example is on this exit button, this return to town button, has a very simple event that is the on click event. When this event gets clicked, the event it triggers stuff. It says, okay, well, this is an event that I know about. What do you want to have happen when that event, when someone clicks it? And in fact, it's abstract. Anyone can do something when this event happens. And so in my case, my shop controller, I say, well, I actually call the exit shop method on my shop controller. But the bonus thing about an event is I can add multiple, say, well, when I click this button, maybe I want 5 things to happen. So an event is something that you can listen to. So you listen, say, okay, when that event happens and I hear it happen, I can do something in response to it. So one of the benefits of using an event over like the update method is you don't have to pull. It's something that doesn't happen every frame. Instead, it's something that only happens when a specific event occurs. I hope that makes sense, Bio. Did that at an abstract idea, did that give you, was that helpful at all? Sweet. Glad to hear it. So our character inspector here. No character data initialized. Our observable character. Yeah, so the idea here is our observable character might actually need, and this is like a misnomer. The name of this is not quite right. Yeah, you're welcome. If you wanna do hangout and code, just keep it appropriate. If you want to hang out and code in my stream, you can do a screen share there. Yeah. If anyone wants to watch Biotest do a screen share, feel free to join the Discord and check it out. But we're gonna focus here. We were trying to finish this here. We got 30 more minutes before I gotta hop off here. Rave, can it be Friday already? I feel you, my friend. I am my new contract started today, so I'm going back to work today. I've been on a 3-week break, which is just like not good for me. That much time off is I actually work way more when I'm on break than I do when I'm actually working, because I'm an insane person. That's why. So we're gonna render these like this, and this is the ability. All right, and so we're gonna say this ability here. So Rave, welcome aboard. I don't know how long you've been here, but we are playing with custom inspectors. I want to be able to see what my interface looks like at runtime in the inspector. So we are doing that now. And then I'm going to see if I can go the other way and say, okay, when I edit this thing, can I propagate this back to the interface I'm inspecting? And I think I should be able to do that without too much difficulty. And in this case, it happens to be character of dot abilities at dot score of ability. Does my abilities, and then we got to do toString. Right now it's read only, but it's working pretty well. I'm really happy with it. It's only at runtime. So when we're not running, it just says character data not initialized. Then when we run, we basically say, who are we listening to? We're listening to this observable character. And it does, the toString on it sucks. So, but we're about to get our ability scores here. So instead, this shouldn't be that. This should be score. Like this. And there we go. So now we get our ability scores listed out. And so what's cool here, let's test this out over in our player character scene, our character creator scene. If I now add in to our builder controller, oh, I don't have an observable, there's not an observable character here. That's interesting. All right, because the character, there's no character that exists. This is just the builder. It's not until we click create that we get it. So I can't view it there. That's okay. I was gonna say if I change those values, they should update. Core says, I am still loading my internship data to be pre-processed on the background. What did I miss? What did you miss? We made some progress. So we realized that we actually think we want a character inspector editor. So we created a new mono behavior called character inspector. So the idea here is that my character is not my contract, my I character is not a concrete type, but it's going to have this JSON. All characters need to be JSONable, so they should be serializable, right? To JSON at least. And so my character inspector can accept as a property that lets us set the character, and then under the hood that becomes a JSON, and we know how to serialize strings. And then my character inspector knows how to render that, because now I can deserialize. Never know you can implement JSON stuff on Unity. Sounds neat. Yeah. So we can deserialize our character. So we have this thing from our interface. We know how to load it up. So we're gonna have to write a factory selector somehow. But now if I run this, I get my, even though this is using an I character, I can inspect it. And at runtime I have it, which is cool. This is really cool. The main thing here is it's read only. I can't push that data back in yet, but that shouldn't be too hard because we have access to the interface thing here. We just need to go the other direction where we can attach ourselves to an observable and modify that observable. And so in this case, we could so in this case we could have a public, this is a little bit madness. Ooh, instead of even doing this, I have an even better idea. We can say, okay, well, the character inspector, you need to give it an observable character, right? Ooh, this is even better. Character here. All right, so get private set, and we serialize this. Okay, so we give it an observable character. I'm about to break things. I like breaking things. Hash, yeah, Unity coder. Tasty. Were you here yesterday when I was talking about? Oh, now my editor script is really upset with us. Let's We're going back in time here for a moment. Were you here yesterday, Unity coder, when I was talking about code smells versus code tastes? It's hashtag tasty. I think I just missed something. So tired, I ended up staying up until 4, finishing the wheel colliders and getting the movement of the wheels in physics. But I hope you did get it set up. So the buggy is now finished as per the basement. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nice work, Rave. I'll have to go back and finish the stream. Anyone who doesn't follow Rave should. Rave. Let's do a shout out here. Rave. Rave has some awesome streams in which he's working on a space trucking game. Space trucking game, so cool. And does 3D modeling. Artist, beautiful 3D modeling stuff going on over there. Go check it out. Amazing work. Amazing work. All right, so I can't. What's interesting is this should be a mono. But my editor here. My editor needs to be able to let me set that observable character. Okay, so this should be, that's why it doesn't work. Observable character. Observable character. Yeah, Rave, you gotta watch me pull hair out in my blender. His blender cries out. So this is our character. Like this. To be observable character. Let's see if that gives us null references. Seems okay-ish. And then here we want to add in a property field. I think editor GUI layout dot property field, and the property happens to be observable character. And we'll add in a label, I think, on it called observable character. This makes sense that you should only be able to observe. Well, let's see what this looks like. So I want to be able to say, oh, well, I want to observe this character, and I drag that in there. Oh no. So I think what's happening is because this is a field, I've done it this way. Observable character. Let's try this. Let's make this private. Gee, it's so nice to see you. I'm not sure if I said hello, but it's nice to see you here, my friend. I have overloaded this name horribly. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people doing it. Super game jams can be super fun. Ludum Dares, I think it's a 72-hour game jam. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so now I should be able to say, okay, I want to actually be observing this thing. So what we can do now is, since we're observing that, this gets set here, so it's a serializable thing. Now we can have another, okay, so now our JSON field. Okay, our JSON field's this way. I don't even know if we need this, but we need to register on that change. So in this case, we have the observable field. Yeah, public or private, protected void on enable. Is it on enable or just enable? I think it's on enable. When we enable this, if the observable character is not null, all right, if observable character is not null, then we're going to register ourselves. In fact, I prefer to work it this way. If it is null, do nothing. And we should probably throw an exception here, or in our inspector have like a warning saying, hey, don't start this up. So this is cool because our inspector, I'll be able to put the warning in that I want. And for fun, we're gonna do nothing, but we're gonna do a log here. Debug.error log error. Character inspector expected. Well, let's actually just throw an exception. Throw, yeah, it's gonna be a throw. This should be a not legal. You shouldn't be able to do this. If you have one of these in your scene, you need to be observing something. That's the rule I'm gonna say is if you put a character inspector in there, it needs to be attached to an observable character. And now I'm feeling like, oh, well, maybe this inspector needs to actually be part of the observable character. I'm not sure. But we can sort of have it be required, right? Yeah, this is fascinating. So we're gonna say throw new system dot invalid operation exception. Character inspector must have observable character. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that if you happen to have a character inspector, you're required to have an observable character component as well. So it's going to be a requirement. So rather than having it as a field here, it's going to say, well, this thing should be on an object that also has a character inspector. I think that is the rule that should happen. And we are going to say that our observable character dot add listener dot on change dot add listener. We're going to basically say that we need to. I don't think I need this JSON anymore. Instead, I can have a field, a property, public iCharacter. What kind of? The reason I think I need this is I need to sort of trigger the editor to redraw itself. We'll find out here. So character get private step. The listener here, we're gonna get in a character, and we're gonna do character equals character. So when the listener changes, it just says, okay, well, propagate that forward, but then our editor, I don't think will know that it's changed. So I don't think it'll actually render itself here. So in fact, we should be able to just call if can I not? Do I have access to the actual underlying data here? The underlying object. Let's look at the documentation again. Where's the documentation? Target. There's this thing called target that you can just get. Okay, so our target private character inspector. So Story Girl, I can drag. I believe you. I absolutely believe you. I would love to see it. So my workaround has been the following. Rather than having these component slots, the way I've done it is I have my events can accept interfaces as arguments, right? So I can accept interfaces as arguments. So for example, my inventory renderer can accept an arbitrary inventory. So I have two different types of inventories. I have a character inventory and I have it's actually, I only have one type of inventory, but characters have inventories and shops have inventories. But I have a, not I has shop, I has inventory. I feel like a meme here. I has inventory. I feel like the cat memes. So I has inventory. So my character has an inventory, my shop has an inventory, and then under the hood, I have this inventory renderer, and it basically allows me to specify. So I can take this thing and attach it to my controller that allows me to specify how to render itself based on this interface. It says, oh, I know that it has an inventory, so I'm able to pull that out. So that works. And so I'm sort of trying to do the same thing for my inspector here, for my quote unquote character inspector. And I'm kind of realizing, this was an exploration day, I'm kind of realizing it should probably be part of my observable component, or that my character inspector should require that there be an observable component there, because this is going to allow me to set that thing. Since I have the observable character component, I can actually set those values. And what's nice here is I have this target thing. Character inspector, character inspector. I think I can do this. Target. And then I think I'll have access to it down here, and I don't actually need, except that if I want to show that property field, I do want that. But I was going to try and do, if, I'm about to sneeze, sorry. Excuse me, sorry about that. If the character inspector's character is not equal, it is null. All right, here we go. If it is null, we say that the data is not initialized. And in fact, we'll have a little editor here so we can like propagate that back to the other spot, so we can sort of set it if we want to. And then render character is going to actually take in, we don't have to pull it out from JSON now. I'm liking this. Character inspector dot character. A chariter. Yeah, thank you. Look, I'm no Englishologist. I'm a programmer, not an Englishologist. I don't always spell things right. Thank you for the pro tip, though. All right, so I think we can do this now. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. My spell checker was giving me a blue squiggly, and I was like, that's probably, I'm gonna ignore that. The spell checker's trying to help me, but I'm over here saying I don't care about you. Character data not initialized. So I think if I run this now, it should initialize it again. Yeah, so this works, and I don't have to have the weird JSON thing there. So I'm actually not doing a bunch of conversions to and from JSON. I think I technically am. But now it's observing it there. So let me see. I think I can actually make it so I can change my character's name. But changing the character, let's change the character's gold. So we're going to add a property field here. We got 10-ish minutes. I'm probably going to go long because I always go long. But we got 10-ish minutes. Oh, I didn't start my music back up. Sorry, we haven't been jamming out to some sweet lo-fi. I apologize. Let's get that. Hello? Sweet lo-fi? There we go. There's my sweet lo-fi. We were showing off Playman's game, so I wanted to mute the lo-fi and never turned it back on. And then suddenly I heard myself thinking, and decided it was too much. Okay, so we really want this to be a property field. A property field. It's gonna... Let's look at how I did it here, because I know I made it so you can edit these things. An object field. Let's try another one of these. Chest controller. It's a field, a float field, open seed, toggle. All right, we're gonna try something here. Gold, int field. And what did it look like I was giving it? A name and then dot gold. I think if I give it dot gold here. So this is interesting. Character dot gold, and really I want my character inspector dot, because I need to forward that back when I modify this. Oh, my character should, ooh. I think when I modify this, my character actually should, all right. I think I've done, so I'm over here going, ooh, because in my character, my player character, I think it's already set up to notify it if my gold changes. So where's my gold? Yeah, so I think it'll automatically propagate this back out. $250. It did not propagate at 30. Okay. That's okay. I thought something magic was gonna happen there. I don't know why I thought magic was gonna happen there. I think you need to add in sort of a... Let's look at map builder controller. Can we... I think so we have to actually edit it. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. I need to say that the character's gold. Okay. All right, so in the editor, this is getting the actual value there, and then this thing returns an int of after it's edited. So int character.gold, not int character gold. And I say if it changes that character gold. I almost had it. I almost had it. Oh, I'm so excited. This is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been wanting. So now if I give my character 250 gold, look at that. Oh, success. Success. I can edit my character here, which is, you know, it's not, it has an implementation, but the observable is an arbitrary character. And so I can give myself gold in the, I can finally do this. This was something that was driving me nuts. Yo, this makes me so happy. This makes me so happy that I could cry. So now if I return to town and go back to Wilfred's weapons, I should sell 50, and this should save because it so, whew, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So I can edit my guy. My class is in 2 hours, but I need to get offline now because I gotta actually prep for the day at this point. So I'm gonna give myself. I'm gonna do a little. I'm gonna try and clean up this commit. Yeah, core. I don't. So I think JSON's a great way to serialize stuff if you're not worried about security. So one thing is JSON files are just text files, so potentially people can touch them. And Unity has built-in utilities for doing JSON as long as you're using primitive data types and their mono behavior. So you can easily serialize their mono behaviors, their serial types. Yesterday, we went through the whole process of writing serializers for all of our classes, our characters, our equipment, our items. So if you want to see how I did that, I actually think yesterday's video is pretty good. I'm going to at some point create a tutorial, not tutorial. I'm going to create a project to do it, and I might explain it a little bit in a video or something. I think it'd be a great topic, but using yeah, exactly, Story Girl. If so, it's a raw JSON. It's not the most secure, but it's like super. It's relatively. I was gonna say super easy. It's a very common data format that's commonly used. Another one would be like XML. But Unity has. Let me open up my character here. One of the reasons I'm using it is because my encode method. Not encode method essentially becomes JSON utility.toJSON, and I just pass in my character, and this utility knows how to serialize it to JSON for me. And so now I can easily serialize the player character object nicely. And when I say nicely, it's sort of not so nice, but that's because I'm serializing non-primitives. In this case, I happen to be serializing dictionaries. So inside of my equipment class, I have some dictionaries that I need to serialize. So I have to write a special serializer that says, how do I serialize this thing? And a big part of it is you can have recursive data. And so in a dictionary, it's really easy to have recursive data. Same with lists. If you have a list that is of a primitive data type, it'll serialize fine. Or a serializable data type. So if we look at my implementation of my equipment manifest here, we'll go down into the way I serialize it. I have to keep this extra set of serialized fields. So my dictionary doesn't get serialized, but instead I serialize a list of the equipment slots and then a JSON of the equipable. And so then when I deserialize, I have a special thing that says when I go to serialize, take my dictionary and jam it into this. And when I deserialize, take those lists and construct a dictionary from it. So you need if you have non-primitive data types, you have to write a serializer for those things. But if you have primitive data types, you just throw a serialized field on it, and it's happy to do it. And it can do this with mono behaviors out of the box, which is nice, assuming the mono behaviors don't have, again, things like this. So anything that can show up in the inspector, you can serialize using the JSON utility. I hope that answered your question, Core. But if your data needs to be secure, like you don't want people to be able to edit it and that sort of stuff, you'll want to encrypt it as well. But JSON's a great format, widely used. But let's make a commit here, because I gotta hop off here in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Ish. 3 minutes ish. So I'm gonna go ahead and discard. I made this whole thing. We're gonna discard this editor folder here. So I ended up not using this because I needed it needed to be tightly coupled. So I ended up not doing an assembly with it. We did explore assemblies a little bit. I don't need that, so I can toss that. And is that okay here? This doesn't reference it. Okay, so I got rid of that. I did modify my shop scene, my character controller. What did I change? Character controller. Oh, I got rid of this serialized. Okay, so I can get rid of this now. So I don't need to serialize the character because the whole point was to have a thing that I didn't need to serialize. Public eye character. I don't need this anymore, and I don't need this listener anymore. And I don't care about this iHas character anymore. I don't need to do this namespace. I don't need this equipment import. Okay, Unity, do you compile still, Unity? All right, G, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. I hope there was something here that to gain educationally. But as always, you know, thanks for hanging out. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Character attributes. I don't need this, so I can trash this. We're gonna discard this change. Oh, we don't want to do that here. We got to do it in Unity. In our editor, this was our character drawer attribute. So we started off looking at adding in attributes, and it turns out that's not what we wanted. We wanted to do something a little bit better. Okay, so then our character inspector, our character inspector editor, our character serializer, and our serializer drawer can go away. Right. And let's create a folder for these. Create folder called character. I'm really happy with what I've accomplished here for myself today. It's beyond what I thought I would get. All right, so let's keep going. Character inspector and character inspector editor. Our I character, we had to add this stuff in there, so this one makes sense. And our I has character. I don't know that we need this anymore. I don't think we're actually using I has character. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that for now. Easy enough to rewrite, I think. Well, let's open it up. It'll tell us whether or not we have reference. Open file. Oh no, I clicked on a meta file, and so now it's trying to figure out how to open it. I need to figure out how to disable that. Uh-oh, we're 1 minute over. All right, well, while I'm doing this, all right, I'm gonna wrap up and do a commit, but I do gotta hop off here. Let's find someone to raid. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna find someone here. Ooh, Sesh Omara is pretty good. Let's see, they're working on Ludum Dare stuff. Yeah, we're gonna raid. They're doing Godot. Godot. How do people feel about Godot? I know Mooniz is doing Unity stuff. They've been on for a while. Ooh, in Godot. All right, Corfless likes Godot. We're gonna go ahead and do a raid over here on Sesh. Raid. Sesh Umara. But thank you everyone so much for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. It's super fun. I had a wonderful time. I hope you had a wonderful time. And I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same bat time, same bat place. Have a beautiful day. And have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.